before? Where was your family when they built their family home? Yeah, there's a lot of times where family homes were built. They didn't buy an existing house, they built. So let's have a look at this. So building a family home is so much more than timber, bricks, nails, and concrete. It is about creating a place where everyday life will happen and where family memories will be made for years, sometimes generations to come. Yes, there are houses that have been passed down through generation after generation after generation, and they're still getting passed down. Think about the people in your family who built a home. Where did they choose to build it? Why did they choose to build that particular place? Perhaps they bought a small section of land in a growing town, built on part of the family farm, or found a perfect spot where they could imagine raising their children. Choosing the land may have been almost as important as choosing the house itself. How involved were they in building the home? Some families hired builders and watched their plans slowly come to reality. Others did much of the work themselves, often with the help of relatives, friends, neighbors. They may have had been weekends spent painting walls, laying floors, designing gardens, putting up fences, the barn, barn raising, or doing whatever was necessary to turn a building site into a home. And oftentimes you would find especially if it was in a farming community, you would find them while they're building the house, they need a barn. They've got to have somewhere to put all the animals and the stock and the food and all of that sort of stuff. So they do a barn raising. Everybody, or the women would bring plates for the thing. The guys would bring their hammers and tools, and they would have a barn raising thing, which was pretty cool. And they'd get the barn up, basically the 4 walls and the roof on in a day, depending on how many people showed up. Money was often a big part of the story too. How much did it cost to build? How did they finance it? Did they have to save years before they could begin? Were there things they wanted but couldn't afford, so they decided they would add them later? I've heard those many stories too. Those details can tell us a great deal about what life was like for our families at the time. Then there were all the decisions. How many bedrooms? What color should the kitchen be? Where should the dining table go? Did they choose every detail themselves, or were the houses built from standard plan? There may have even been original blueprints, building permits, receipts, photographs, or handwritten notes tucked away somewhere that helped tell the story. And I know I have it. I just don't. I thought I had it inside, but I don't see it anywhere. But I've got a scrapbook from the house that Brad and I built in Virginia, including a very interesting note that is under the linoleum in the actually it's now under tile in the laundry room. And so we had warned the new homeowner that should you pull this up, this is what you will discover under there. They were not happy about the fact that I wanted dryer, washing machine, tub. They had the tub here in the plan, but for some reason they had tub, washing machine, dryer, and I wanted it switched. I wanted dryer, washing machine, tub, and I eventually won. The note they left on the floor proved how annoyed they were about having to do this. But that's the story. And finally came the day they moved in. Perhaps everything wasn't quite finished. There might still have been bare floors, an unfinished garden, boxes everywhere, or a list of jobs waiting to be done. But they were home. They were home. My parents built their first home and got to spend it. They just picked up the keys that day. They go back to their flat. Their pet rat that lived in the wall in the toilet and would scratch at them had broken through somewhere and ran up my dad's trouser leg. And so they somehow managed to get, they had a loan of a Sportster car, so just a 2-seater car, somehow managed to get the mattress into the car. My dad drove that over and Mum followed on her scooter. And they spent the first night in their new home on the floor of their living room area with no curtains on any of the windows. So, and it wasn't long till they were out of the flat and into the home. And they put newspaper up on the windows to start with until my grandmother sewed them some curtains. But every house building has a story. Over the years, the house became much more than a building. They had constructed. Babies may have been brought home through the front door. Birthdays and Christmases were celebrated there. Children grew up and eventually left home. Friends gathered around the kitchen table. Gardens were planted. Pets joined the family. Rooms were renovated. And ordinary days quietly became family history. I love that. Some family homes remain in the family for generations. Others were eventually sold and became home to somebody else's family. Either way, the stories of the people who built them deserve to be remembered. And there are some great stories about people moving into their first homes, building their first home and moving into it, or years later building their dream home and moving their family into it. And then that became like the centerpiece of the family. You know, family gatherings, we're going over to grandma and granddad's, you know, type of thing. That with they may have had bought a house to begin with, but then later on had these dreams of a house that they wanted to build. And so they spent years planning and saving, and finally the day came where they could break ground. They had the perfect piece of land, they had the plans all done, they had everything picked out, and now they could go and build their dream home. I'm not sure if I wanted it as soon as you get married or years later when you've worked out the kinks and figured out exactly what you want. But to be able to design and build your own home that could become your final home type of thing. And to have the kids come over, and then the kids get married and they bring over their grandkids, and it becomes a very much the heart of the family. And I just love that. And then when the parents pass away, one of the children may inherit the house, or it might get sold. But there are houses that have been in families for generations because some great-great-grandparent, you know, second or third great-grandparent down the road built the house, and it built in such a sturdy way that it's just been inherited into each generation. A new person inherits it. When the previous tenant passes away, then it gets inherited by somebody in the family, which I think is great because it keeps alive a lot of memories and things. And I do remember the time that we did da-da-da-da, and the house may undergo renovations and get changed around a little bit, and that's okay. It's all part of the story. So your challenge for today is find out whether anyone in your family built their own family home. Where was it? When was it built? Who designed it? Who helped build it? How much did it cost? Are there photographs of it being built? Most importantly, ask what they remember about finally standing inside the home they had dreamed about and realizing, we built this. A house may be made from bricks and timber, but a family home is built from the life that happens inside it. Let us know in the comments below some of the stories that you uncover. Now go out, have a super fantastic sparkling evening, and we'll catch you guys back here tomorrow at some time. Because tomorrow I am planning to go into Central Business District in Wellington to go to the IRD, or Internal Revenue Department, to get my IRD number sorted out to see why they can't find it. I've had it for almost 60, I've had it for however long I've had it. It's been in my bank account for almost 40 years and they can't seem to find it. So we're going to go see if we can solve that riddle. And then I may go for a walk around, depending on the weather, go for a walk around the downtown area and just reminisce about places, see what places are still there, what places have gone. I know there was some really good fast food places where basically they roll up a garage door. You've got about 2 to 3 feet where you can stand inside the store, and then it's counter, and then it's cooking area behind that. And you just hang it on the street until you order. I know there's a couple of good places like that I used to enjoy. They are more than likely gone now since it's been over 30 years. So I'm expecting to see a lot of changes. One change I'm keen to see is the Kokoris building. Kokoris would be equivalent, in New Zealand, would be equivalent to Harrods in London. It had that kind of vibe about it. And it had been in the business for well over 100 years. They closed the door a few years ago, and it's now a DoubleTree hotel. And I have a friend who actually stayed there just last year, said it was fabulous, and its location was great because she could walk everywhere or catch the bus. It was right across the road from the cable car that would go up the hill to where she could catch the free shuttle to Zealandia. But she sent me pictures of what they'd done inside, and it looks like some of the original flooring is still there, which is awesome. But yeah, it looks, they kept the facade and gutted behind. I think they kept the facade and gutted, but I don't exactly know what they did to it, but I'm curious to go and see. So that's one I'm looking forward to seeing. And there's a few other places I'm going to go see if I can see if they're still in existence. I want to go check out the library because they just recently, they just did in the city square, they just had the library closed while they earthquake proofed it a little more. And they recently opened it back up, and they showed on the news not long after I got back into New Zealand of just volunteers after volunteers dragging books in and putting books on shelves and things like that. So I'd like to go see that and see what changes they made during the earthquaking, if they made any changes to the decor inside and things like that. So it's going to be a little trip down memory lane. So we'll see. You may even get, this is me, I forget to do lives. Well, you may get some lives from down there. I don't know. It depends on the weather. It depends on how many people are around, because I don't like to make it obvious that I'm recording something. But we'll see what we can do. So go out, have a super fantastic sparkling evening, and I'll see you guys back here tomorrow evening at some time.